Grief changed shape when there was someone helpless enough to protect. Lyra did not have the luxury of collapsing. Seth woke blind, weak, and trusting the hands that guided water to his mouth. He flinched at thunder. He tilted his head toward her voice like a lost animal learning where warmth lived. Each innocent question cut through her more cleanly than Morwen's poison ever had.
You're crying.
No. It is only rain on my face.
It is not raining.
Lyra almost laughed. Almost. Then the valley wards trembled. Not from weather. From boots. From silver. From the last desperate courage of men who believed Seth's fall had left the throne unguarded.
Lyra Vale! By order of the remaining council, surrender the fallen high priest and submit to purification. The abomination ends today.
Seth pushed himself up on one shaking arm, blind eyes turning toward the threat. His instincts remained, even stripped of memory and power. His body remembered protecting her before his mind remembered her name.
Stay behind me.
Not anymore. She stepped between Seth and the approaching executioners. The girl they had called wolfless did not raise a sword. She breathed in. The valley breathed with her. A white wolf of living moonfire rose behind her, vast enough that the peach trees bent beneath its spectral weight. Every executioner stopped. Their wolves recognized royalty before their politics did.
Impossible! She has no wolf!
No, you had no patience. The first line struck the ground and threw them backward like leaves caught in a furnace wind. Silver blades melted before touching her skin. Alpha pressure, once a mountain on her lungs, now broke against her like rain against stone. She moved through them with an elegance that made violence look ceremonial. Thorn tried to invoke the old laws. Lyra answered by placing one foot on his fallen staff and breaking it in half. The crack echoed across PEACH-FORD. Around them, surviving elders dropped to their knees, not out of loyalty, but because the age of pretending she was weak had ended.
You used law as a knife against children, against wards, against anyone too powerless to answer. From this day forward, the Moon Temple recognizes no purity higher than mercy. Refuse, and your bloodlines end with your pride.
The return to the capital happened under a sky washed clean by storm. News traveled faster than horses. The defective orphan lived, the high priest had fallen, and a white wolf queen walked beside his litter with one hand resting on the rail, as if the whole world existed only to keep him breathing. In the throne hall, nobles who had once laughed behind cups pressed their foreheads to the floor. Morwen, powerless and gray, did not raise her eyes. Lyra stood before the moon-carved seat in a black gown trimmed with peach blossoms and accepted the crown with bloodless composure. The circlet was cold, lighter than she expected, crueler.
Are they bowing to you?
Yes.
Then you must be very brave.
Lyra's fingers tightened around the arm of the throne. All the elders were kneeling. All the enemies were beaten. The world that had demanded her death now trembled at her breath. She had won the clan, the temple, the title, the future. But when she looked down at Seth's blind, peaceful face, the victory opened inside her like a locked room with nothing in it.
I would have traded it all for you to remember one thing.
No one heard her over the roar of the crowd. Perhaps that was mercy. Perhaps it was only the shape victory takes when it arrives too late. Power, Lyra discovered, was easier to hold than a spoon of hot broth in front of a blind man who did not remember he once commanded storms. She left the council to a regent she trusted, sealed the Moon Temple under new law, and returned to the hidden tower with Seth before autumn stained the peach leaves gold. The clan called it retreat. Lyra called it the only place where breathing did not feel like performance. The tower remembered them badly. The eastern window where she had once waited for medicine. The corridor where Seth's footsteps had sounded like judgment. The chamber beneath the temple where his blood had filled bronze bowls. Now his rooms were moved to the sunniest floor. Rugs softened the stone. Sharp corners were wrapped. Books were arranged by texture because he could no longer read their titles.
You have made a prison very comfortable.
It was always comfortable. That was the problem.
Morning became ritual. Lyra guided his hand to the wash basin. He learned the number of steps from bed to balcony. She brushed white hair from his forehead and pretended her fingers did not tremble when they passed the place where gold once burned behind his eyes. In the afternoons, she read to him from histories he had lived and poems he had hated. He listened with the grave courtesy of a stranger receiving kindness he did not know he had earned.
This high priest in the story sounds difficult.
Difficult is a gentle word.
Did you love him?
Lyra turned the page, though she had not finished reading it. Outside, wind moved through the peach trees with a sound like rain beginning. The question had come softly, without suspicion. That made it worse.
Yes,
And did he love you?
more than his own life. Less wisely than he should have.
Seth nodded as if filing away the pain in her voice for later study. He had lost memory, not kindness. That was the cruelest mercy. He knew when she was hurt. He simply did not know he was the wound. One evening, a storm rolled over the valley. Thunder cracked above the tower, and Seth's hand tightened on the arm of his chair. Lyra crossed the room before the second rumble, kneeling beside him, letting him find her fingers.
I know it is only weather. My body disagrees.
Bodies remember what minds survive by losing.
He explored her hand with careful fingertips. The healed scars across her palm from poison days. The callus where a queen's ring had rubbed. The faint tremor she could hide from counsels, but never from his touch. His thumb stopped at her pulse.
You are good to me. Were we husband and wife?
The tower disappeared. For one breath, Lyra was back in the high chamber, feverish, begging to be marked. Seth's old voice echoed through memory with the merciless clarity of a blade. You are my ward, forever. She swallowed the sound rising in her throat until it cut.
No,
No.
you were my master, my guardian, forever.
Seth absorbed this with solemn care. Then, as if the title meant safety rather than tragedy, he lifted her hand and pressed his forehead against her knuckles.
Then I must have been honored.
Lyra closed her eyes. Outside, rain began to fall over PEACH-FORD. Inside, the woman who had won every battle sat beside the man who remembered none of them and learned slowly the shape of a life built from what love had not managed to save.